The Israeli military said it razed another high-rise building in Gaza City on Sunday, shortly after military spokesperson Avichay Adraee ordered the evacuation of people from Al-Roya Tower, a seven-story building in a southern Gaza City neighborhood, and from nearby tents. According to Associated Press, it's the third Gaza City high-rise leveled in as many days as Israel ramps up its offensive to take control of what it portrays as the last remaining Hamas stronghold, urging Palestinians to flee parts of Gaza City for a designated humanitarian zone in the territory's south. Israel said the building targeted on Sunday had been used by Hamas for military and intelligence-gathering activities. Hamas denied those accusations, calling it a false pretext meant to justify bombing residential blocks. It was unclear how many people had been killed or wounded in the attack. A drone launched from Yemen by the Houthi militant group hit Israel's southern airport, closing the airspace over southern Israel and halting flights, the Israeli military said Sunday. According to Associated Press, Israel said the Houthis launched multiple drones, some of which were intercepted outside of Israel. At least one hit the passenger hall of the Ramon International Airport near the southern Israeli city of Eilat, according to the Israel Airports Authority. In May, a Houthi missile hit near Israel's main airport, injuring 4 people lightly and causing many airlines to cancel their flights to Israel for months. Israel later struck and destroyed the main airport in the rebel-held Yemeni capital of Sana'a. One person was lightly injured at the airport from shrapnel as a result of the drone, according to Israel's Rescue Services Magen David Adom. Nasruddin Amir, deputy head of the Houthi media office, hailed the attack on social media, calling it a unique, qualitative military operation. Enemy airports are unsafe, and foreigners must leave them for their own safety, he wrote. Other sensitive targets are under fire. Sunday's attack came 2 weeks after an Israeli strike on Sana'a, the rebel-held capital of Yemen, killed the prime minister of the Houthi government, along with many of his cabinet. Prime Minister Ahmed al-Rahawi was the most senior Houthi official killed in the Israeli-US campaign against the Iranian-backed rebels. Following al-Rahawi's killing, the rebels vowed to escalate their attacks against Israel as well as on vessels navigating through a crucial Red Sea shipping route off Yemen. In their recent attacks, the rebels launched projectiles daily, in some cases multiple times per day, and also began using cluster munitions in the missile attacks on Israel. Cluster munitions open up with smaller explosives that can be harder to intercept, raising the chances of getting through Israel's air defense system. The Ramon Airport opened in 2019 and is located some 19 kilometers from the resort city of Eilat on Israel's southern tip. It serves both domestic and international flights but is much smaller than Israel's main airport, Ben Gurion Airport, in central Israel.
The war with Ukraine has become a tool for the ruling elite of Russia to retain power in Russia. And if there is no war, the Kremlin will lose such a tool. This opinion was expressed in a conversation with Glavred by military expert and former SBU employee Ivan Stupak. All these boys in panties will return home and crime may reign. By the way, since last year, the Putin administration has been holding events aimed at employing those who returned from the war, says Stupak. The expert explained that they want to employ all those who returned from the war in a way that would not have negative consequences. A career elevator is being created. The task is to place them in the legislative bodies in the regional assembly, because they are afraid that people with combat experience will either go into crime or into opposition movements. To prevent this from happening, they are thinking up what to do with them, the expert said. It is also impossible to rule out the possibility that Russia will face the risk of conflict between this new political class and the old one. In any case, war is life for such people. Their thinking looks something like this. There is a war. Moving forward, no war. We need to talk about something else. And it will be unpleasant to talk about something else, especially about the losses in the battles for territories that have become scorched earth. There is nothing there. It is probably worse than even the Chernobyl zone. In this context, I constantly talk about the Kharkiv region. The Russians were not there for very long, but the territories are still being demined. And what can we say about Bakhmut, for example, or the entire Donetsk region? I assume that it will take years to demine it. Stupak summed up. Russian economist Vladimir Milov said how Ukraine can drive Russians to protest in the Russian Federation. When the government in Russia weakens and citizens stop being afraid, mass riots may begin in the country. The editor-in-chief, citing economic expert Taras Zagorodny, told whether new protests against the war would take place in the Russian Federation. He explains that in Russia, there is a different attitude towards people who fight for money. So attempts to protest against the war, such as the riots of soldiers' mothers in some regions, have ceased. The Standard experts also named the year when Putin might withdraw from the war in Ukraine. Analysts explained that Russian President Vladimir Putin does not take into account the losses in the war in Ukraine, but he may soon be forced to stop.